Hey guys! We're going to start a little bit earlier, seeing as you all sat down so nicely. Normally we have to start dragging people down, but hey, why not? Thanks for coming. My name is Kerry. I'm going to take my mask off for a moment, but I promise not to hug any of you. As some of you already know, I am the head of the web department, but I also teach as well as web graphic design and concept art. So we're just going to run you through a little bit about who we are, what we're up to, and then there'll be an opportunity to also ask some questions. And then right at the end, Lars from game and Andrew from concept art will do like little mini presentations in the classrooms for those of you who might want a bit of extra information about those topics. They tend to be a little bit newer, so people want more. Plus they're great guys, you just want to hang out with them. Cool. So, who are we? We're a small boutique academy, as you guys know, in the heart of Cape Town, which means we have a really wonderful energy, and everybody here is very much geared towards making sure that you, the students, are getting the knowledge and experience that you need. So everything we do is geared towards making sure that you are industry ready, making sure that the information you get is carried through and sort of ingrained into you through the projects you do over and over throughout the year. The nice thing about us being sort of a smaller campus is that we're able to shift our curriculum and the kind of projects we do based on what the industry is doing. That happens because of two things. One, because our lecturers and our HODs, we're all required to still be in the industry. So we're still either freelancing or consulting or working in companies, so we know what clients need and we know how things are shifting and changing and technology that's changing. Then over and above that, is because we're a small team, we can make those changes quickly. There's a lot less bureaucracy, so instead of trying to move like a whole ship in a new direction, we're more like a speedboat that we can quickly change direction and give you guys what you need. And part of that is, as I said, making sure that when you get your job, you can sit down at your desk and do the work. You might have to make friends, find the coffee machine, but you can do the job. And as most of you know by now, in the creative industry, the portfolio is everything. I used to be a bit of a snob about this. I have a degree, the honors, the whole band shoot. But when I see what these guys can do, even within 6-7 months, some of them we hire within our own agency right up front because we work hard and we get it done. We've also been around for, I think 12 years now, so, you know, we know what we're doing by now. And one of the ways we like to do that is we have a lot of different aspects to the company. Yes, we teach full-time courses, which is what most of you guys are here for, but we also do professional training and short courses. So those are the things like when people want to upskill within the industry, or if they want to shift their industry slightly, maybe move from graphics to getting some web skills, or if they know concept art and want to get a little more game skills. Professionals, we teach in companies like Media24, WorldWords, upskilling. So we have this really nice integration of industry and campus, and then we have our own agency, as I said, that's called Labyrinth. So we're doing the work again on a daily basis, mixing the fields together, and then checking out which students are available. The nice thing for you guys as students is that means because we have this network, there's a lot of opportunities for you to feed into those companies, and to also we have presentations, you get kind of a behind-the-scenes perspective of how the industry works. Well, I feel myself going into lecture mode, so if it gets too bad, please somebody just like wave at me or something. We also get involved in the greater industry, so we have a lot of events that we participate in. And I'm not just talking about setting up a booth and like chatting to a few people. We're on the panels, we're part of the discussions. The organizers come to us to say, okay, cool, is this still relevant? How can we make this better and more fun? Lars and Andrew in particular love to get involved and really help cultivate the entire industry, not just training students. And that's what we love doing. That mentorship aspect is important to us. So we'll have students who years down the line, they'll still come back to us and ask us for maybe career advice or chat to us about their options on different changing of things and where they're headed. Students themselves, while they're studying, they might send us a message later, like, oh, I need help with a project. And we're completely chill with that. It's a mentorship aspect. We run the classrooms like it's a studio, and we're your mentors and your creative directors. It's not about the hierarchy, it's about the sharing of knowledge. So when you message me at 10 at night asking about a project, I'm like, can we put my kids to bed? Okay, what do you need? And all the lectures are like that. That's the passion we bring, because we teach because we love it, not because we have to. And that passion comes through onto the campus as well, through talks, through interactions, through events, through getting involved in all these expos and outside industry elements as well. And now, for those of you who are maybe geographically challenged, you can also study with us virtually. So that means you're still getting the same course, the same education, people at the back, but you can do it via Zoom classes, Teams, and I mean, we all had to adapt last year, and happily for us, creatives are naturally adaptive, and also happily for us, we're in the digital field, so we adapted really well. And now this is a new avenue that we can offer our students, with still getting the atmosphere that you want. You want to study, you want to grow as humans, as well as people who can do the job. Which kind of brings us to the big picture of, yes, we teach creatives, but we also mentor, guide, instruct, prepare, train, and encourage. And this is our philosophy. And this is something every single person here brings through. Boring stuff, particularly important for the parents. As I said, we've been around for a while, and not only that, but the big boys like CHE and SACWA say we're big enough and ugly enough to teach you what we know. So we're good at this, we're allowed to do it, and you can take your credits overseas and to other courses as well. And like any good tertiary education facility, we went and checked that what we're promising you is actually what we're delivering on. So every year we chat to our alumni from a few years ago, and we say, hey guys, how's it going? And the nice part is that what we're promising you is what is being fulfilled. So most of our students will get jobs within the first 3 months of having graduated, which believe me is phenomenal. And yes, they sit down at their desk, they can do the work. We know that education is an investment, and it's quite a big investment. So it's nice for us to know that it's worth it when you come to us. One of the ways we make sure that this is happening and is continuing to be great courses is that we're always thinking about future-proofing. So our lecturers, our teams who develop the courses, we're watching, as I said, how things change. So you have to think of jobs that are available now versus jobs that are coming versus jobs that used to be available. So 10 years ago, if you'd gone to your mom and you'd said, I want to be a social media manager, she would be like, you want to play on Facebook all day? But now, the whole advertising industry has changed, and being a social media manager is a very viable, very lucrative job. Things like shipping car parts from overseas, we don't need to do that anymore. We can 3D print in the material you need right here. So if you're in the shipping industry, you've got to think about how your industry has changed. Law, they've got apps, they've got programs that can give you law advice for the most fundamental problems immediately. So if you're in law, maybe you want to think about specializing in a particular field. So this is a wonderful way that the world is changing and we get to be a part of. Something like interactive media is the third biggest field in the future growth market, after robotics and biotechnology. So our government released a list a few weeks back of skills our country needs, and web design and development and multimedia is on that list. We need more of those people in our country. There are jobs out there. What we don't have is good, capable people to do the jobs. Game revenue, as you might have seen the note there, and I'm sure many of you know by now, is we often hear like, oh, there's no career in a game. Students are told like, why would you do that? But the game industry makes more money than the movie and music industry combined. That is a huge industry. We're not just talking about console games, we're talking about games on your phone, we're talking about educational games, like they're testing in the back room right now. We're talking about internet games, all sorts of things. The fields within themselves are diverse, and there's so many different avenues you can go into, which is why I sound super passionate, because I am. So what do? We teach creatives. We teach you how to get into that industry. We have 4 high certificate courses that are each 1-year full-time courses, in graphics, web, game, and then concept art. And these interchange really nicely and give you a good, diverse variety of skills. So what we do encourage is to think about your career as a whole and how you can kind of build your own package to combine those skills. Some of you have already kind of spoken to about this, but for example, graphics and web, we've seen how the industry is changing. You need both of those skills. Even if you specialize in one, being able to talk to the other side of the coin, the other members of your team is invaluable. It does make you more employable. I was trained in graphic design and illustration, but once I started my company and I realized I needed web, I specifically learned it so that I could talk to the clients, talk to the team, and then I fell in love with it. And now I get the opportunity to curate my day. Some days I'm helping troubleshoot coding, some days I'm designing a logo, some days I'm doing an illustration aspect. So it's never boring. Plus some troubleshooting days, I'm not going to lie, and some hectic deadlines every now and again, but I love this job and I want to be able to give it to you. In the same way, game, concept art work really well hand in hand. Game and web, often now the technologies are starting to overlap because the game developers are trying to find loopholes around app stores, for example, or the coding itself is running from one to the other. So think big picture and think of how you can create a world for yourself that you want to be in. I do, however, have to note that if you start building a package, so if you do 1 year graphics, 1 year web, it doesn't add up to a diploma. You're still getting individual higher certificates, but you're getting the knowledge and the portfolio of both. And that's the part that's important. So let's talk about graphic design a little bit, because this is the one that forms a really great foundation for all the others, but also stands alone really well. So you guys might have heard the saying, print is dead. Okay, fair enough. We don't really maybe read magazines so much anymore. We maybe read a lot more stuff on our tablets or computers. But the language of graphic design, the idea of combining image, word, color to convey personality, doesn't matter about the platform. Those elements are still going to be prevalent, whether it's in a web design or an app design, or it is in a magazine, or an advert, or a menu watch, or a t-shirt design, or the color to pick on the shoes. Design is everywhere. You can't avoid it. It could be the buttons on your oven. Somebody had to design it. Somebody had to design the icon that sits on the front of your phone. So when we teach the graphic design students, the conceptual thinking of how to be a designer is the most important. So we start with that thinking, and then we carry through onto all the different fields of graphic design, whether it's branding and corporate identity, or something like packaging design, or promotional design. I mean, the nice thing about being a student is you obviously get to express some strong opinions, and we encourage that, because this is the opportunity to find out what kind of designer are you. There's going to be time for you to have to deal with client briefs and client requirements, but for now, you get to produce really big, good work that you're passionate about, and that expresses who you are. Photoshop and obviously digital manipulation is part of that. We used to have a marketing manager who said, once he saw what our students could do with Photoshop, he didn't believe anything on the internet again. I kind of figured we should have figured that out earlier, but at the same time, it's pretty cool work. And dog creeps me out a little bit, but at the same time, it's so cute. Again, menu design, branding, it's all going to come together to form part of digital language, which then you can either work in the design field or carry through into something like game, concept art, illustration. So once you know how to work with space, color, visual language, you're well set. Which brings us to web design. So moving into that digital platform more fully. And again, looking very much at the idea of how do you think like a web designer? How do you create, plan, research, and bring all those elements together? Yes, you are going to be working through and looking at then following that thinking through with really beautiful visuals. So websites need to look good, primarily visual, but then they got to function as well. So we're taking you through all the different languages you need to build something like that. Throw in a little bit of Premiere Pro video editing there, because if you're going to be a digital designer, sometimes you're going to need to do at least the basics of video editing. Could be for a website, could be for a social media campaign, but that's a really nice skill to have. In all the courses, as always, you're going to produce a final portfolio, and in a lot of the courses, you're actually part of one of your subjects is where we bring in a real life client and you guys almost have to campaign to win their account, and then it goes out into the real world as well. We've been having a little bit of technical difficulties this morning, so now I'm going to show you a video. I'm just going to transition here quickly. Okay. So this is a speedy whirlwind tour of some of the web projects that have been produced. So this is actually one of the first websites the student ever built. So you don't need to know any coding to start. We take you through from knowing absolutely nothing from scratch, and we'll teach you. This is their first project within, say, the first 2.5 months. So as I said, work hard, but it's good work. Obviously interactivity, interaction design, very important. This is not how you test responsive design, but obviously having your website function correctly on a variety of platforms is essential. Animations through web coding, having a little bit of fun there. That one actually makes fart noises. Promotional websites or experiential websites, websites you can really dive into and explore. And then of course, something like a content management system, which is used for a news website or an online shopping website. So this website functions. You can go and buy products. The security aspects are in there, the pay gate aspects are in there, the students can do it all. So that's what we bring through in the web design factor. And as I said, the graphics and the web course work extremely well together, which is why we're also working on a degree which combines all those options. But I encourage you to strongly think about doing a package with those two, and then perhaps at the end furthering with a bit more extra technology on the other courses. Which brings us to game, and Lars is going to cover that.
Thank you, Carrie. Hi, thank you for coming. So, yeah, game and interactive media development. We do not play games of that, I promise you that. Sorry, students. What it is about is your understanding of what processes do you need to go through, what tools do you need to create an interactive app or game that has a specific purpose or a specific goal, and then also to understand how you have to work in a team to make this happen. Because like most of these projects, even in web development, those are usually teamwork-driven projects. There's one game designer programmer that sits in his basement and creates a game all by himself. That is a cliche that's not true. So you need to understand what it is like to work in a team. And you also need to understand the different tools that we use. Pretty much like a movie director does. Game development and interactive media development based on game technology is very much like a movie production. We have different specialists. We have the game designer that comes up with the idea and the features and the storyline and everything. Then we have coders that program the features. We have the graphic designers, the graphic artists that do 3D modeling, 2D graphics, user interfaces. We have the sound engineers, which are usually not part of the team. They're more like the freelancer guys in the industry. But they all need to work together to create this one thing that we want to do for a client or to put it out there on Steam or wherever. And that means you need to understand what the other guys are doing. So the way that we do that is we teach you all the basics in the first 7 to 8 months of the year. And then you specialize in a specific field where you say, this is where I'm really good at, this is where my passion lies, this is where I want to work in the industry. Be that somebody that goes into applied game technology, as we call it, which is pretty much using game technology for other things than creating a game for a Windows PC or a console. For instance, augmented reality, virtual reality. All of these guys that specialize in that get jobs in industries that you wouldn't connect with gaming per se. Now, as Kerry mentioned, we have a game test going on because our agency is working with a Swiss company on a game that has to do with sexual education. And right now we have a couple of kids in the back that are testing that game because they are the target group. So after the presentation, you can actually take a look into a small aspect of game development in the back there. Just knock on the door and ask if you can take a look. But it's a very real thing, and our students have been hired by industries like engineers, architects, the medical field, tourism, many other industries as well. Because a lot of these industries now realize how beneficial this technology can be for them. Let's think about architects. So we have virtual reality now. We put on this helmet and we stand in an environment. We basically replace the real world with a virtual world that is interactive. So usually in a computer game, when you look at a wall and you click, you shoot a hole in the wall. That is what most people assume happens in a computer game. What we can do now, because our students learn coding, for instance, and they know how to use the game engine, when you click on that wall now, in an architect's application, you get a menu with different colors and different wallpaper variations. And now your client, the client of the architect, can decide what that wall is supposed to look like, which color, whatever. We can change the lighting on the fly, as we call it, in real time, and you can see what your place looks like very realistically at sunset on a specific day. You can turn on the lights, and we can scale the room around you so that you can look at the room from a perspective of your 5-year-old kid. Imagine what that means for selling your product to a client as an architect. And this is not future music, this is already being done. Augmented reality is becoming more and more important, especially in marketing. All of a sudden, you can show a product without actually having to have the product. Some of our ex-students now have been working with Volkswagen in Germany. What they've done during 2020, Volkswagen could not send new car models down here. First of all, it's super expensive, and second of all, with the restrictions, they weren't able to do that. So what they did is they asked that team to develop an augmented reality app that works on a phone that enables the retailers down here to show the new cars and have the clients experience them. So you have this phone, you point it at a parking lot spot, and then a virtual version of that car disappears so it looks absolutely realistic. You can scale it up to the real size, and then the client can walk around it. They can switch the colors. You cannot do that on the real car. You cannot have the same car then say, okay, change colors, I want to see you in red. We can do that. Yeah? And all of that is based on what we teach you here in our course. What's very important about this course is, and about the other courses as well, this is my video, is to mute the video. This is an experience where you learn a lot of soft skills. And this is important because the one feedback that we get from the people that employ our ex-students is these guys, you can, on their first day, you can put them onto a team and they are able to work right away. Karen mentioned the degree and the bachelor degree that we're working on. The reality is most companies by now do not hire based on your degree. They hire you based on your skill set and your portfolios. And you can see that these guys are pretty much working like in a real development environment. We simulate that. That is our entire goal. And that's how we treat you as well. Yeah? We we don't tell you what to do, we work with you. Because failure is the best way to learn. And if you make mistakes, we are there. We can help you find what's going wrong, explain to you why it's going wrong, and then you take that further. And the guys do that among each other as well. So for game, you don't need to have any scripting or C# skills. You never touched a 3D modeling tool like Blender, perfectly fine. Game engine, you never touch it, you don't even know what that is. Also, we will teach you everything from scratch, and we will get you to the point where you can create your own apps and games by the end of the year. Or if you want to specialize in 3D modeling, you can use that and do a 3D printed marketing campaign, merchandise or whatever. This is the range of opportunities you get when you study game technology. Okay, let's go back. That's great. So, yeah, we have a couple of very interesting students, always. The introvert gamers surprise their families always with, when they come back 3 months after, it's like, that guy looks like my son, but he's talking to people. Every single time. Yeah, they are our kids now, sorry. So yeah, we really take care of the guys, we keep in contact, as I said, like we also are involved in their projects from time to time. And if you have a couple of questions game related, I will do a presentation or a Q&A later on after the presentation. So, thank you.
I always love seeing that video because as Lars says, like when the game guys come for their interviews, they're super quiet, and as I've said, they get told their whole lives that gaming is not a career option. And then like Lars says, 3 months down the line, they're running up and down the hallways, and they're so loud that from the back there, we're like, shut up! And it's wonderful to see people find their tribe. Also, 2 of the girls in that video are now actually engaged or fully employed to do that project we talked about testing at the back there. So, again, what we're promising on is what we deliver. Which brings us to concept art, and we're extremely proud of this one because it's the first accredited program in Africa. And it's been running for a few years now, and it's really seeing incredible results. With the other courses, well, you don't need to know any previous knowledge, you just need to have your matric. For this one, you probably should be able to draw. So if you're struggling to put pencil to paper, maybe consider something else first. But yeah, we will still take you through all the basics. So look at things like perspective, anatomy drawing, obviously working with lighting, values, that kind of thing. And then once you've got that firmly under your belt, we carry that through then onto the digital platform. So you start doing things like material studies where you're painting in Photoshop or Procreate, whichever you prefer, and then building on through those skills into the different fields of concept art. So as I said before, each of the courses works on the various fields within their greater industry, and then with each of them at the end of the year, you have the opportunity to specialize in a particular field. For concept art, that might be something like asset design, so looking at objects, weapons, vehicles, that sort of thing, and that could be for game, it could be for a video, it could be for a movie, it could be for a variety of things. The reason concept art ultimately kind of exists is so that all these industries that have a lot of moving parts can get on the same page. So if I'm a director and I've asked my team, I want to film a little red house on a hill next to a lake. If I ask 20 people, I am going to get 20 different red houses by a lake, and none of them are going to look like what I had in my head. So concept art then can quickly generate the options, the varieties, the variations, so that we can all have a conversation and get on the same page. So then the prop makers know what they're making, then the location guys know what they're looking for, lighting guys know how the light's done, and we can bring all of that together in a far more efficient way. The nice thing about concept art is that you then also get to bring your own imagination through into things. So you're looking at Harry Potter creatures, concept artists bringing their imagination to create something so that then the 3D modeling guys can actually build that and animate that and bring it to life in the movie. Which of course brings us to the topic of creature and character design. This is one of the subjects I teach. I really enjoy it and I love seeing what comes through. Looking at, again, textures, personalities, and how you can really look at sort of a world and contribute to that world. Obviously, all of these different fields are going to use those initial digital painting and sort of fundamental skills, including environment design, which is not my forte. However, Andrew is excellent at it. He keeps trying to convince me to join the fray, but I'm like, stick to my creatures. And again, looking at lighting, looking at backgrounds, looking at key scenes that you might be in film. So, again, with all the courses, once you've covered all those basic fields within concept art, you've done many, many projects to make sure you've got the skills under your belt, then you get the opportunity to, yes, build a portfolio, but also to do a full campaign design, where you look at all those different aspects together, look at what you want to focus on, either work with a pre-established IP, such as Trolls or Disney, or create something completely fresh on your own, which is what a lot of students choose to do, because again, you get the opportunity to express yourself. Which technically brings us to the end of the presentation. Does anybody have any questions? I'd love to tell you the lecturers are more chill than Lars and I, but alas, we are all like this. Anything, or you can ask us afterwards as well, but is there anything you want to talk about now? Pretty much covered all the basics, right? Okay, so for those of you who are a little bit shy, you're welcome to chat to me afterwards. I can cover anything web, I can cover anything to be honest, but I'm obviously more web and graphics focused for now, and if you'd like to join Lars, I believe he's going to be in this classroom at the end here, Lars, doing game presentation, and Andrew, you're going to be on this far side doing concept art. Cool. If you're worried about you want to kind of be everywhere and you don't know, don't stress, because you can join one, then pop into the other, then come chat to me, or whatever you feel like. Somebody will be here to chat to you. Otherwise, thanks very much for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thanks, guys. That's good. What did you think?
Anyone interested in games? I'll start with the first two parts.
Yes. Honestly, when I see how much these guys are love with their culture, so yeah, it's a bit like balancing. I think for stuff that's like, how can you measure your ideal day? And what you understand is what is your mountain? So if you were to sit down and picture what you're doing on a daily basis, what does that look like? Film industry, for example, is a 12 to 16 hour day, whereas graphics, when my mom was like, oh, you're an architect,
so graphics is it?
At the moment, I feel like it's my graphics are lacking. I kind of expand with them, but I'm not sure.
That's what you get the basics and then
Like, I guess true graphic design and concept, because they're both fields that kind of appeal to me, and I struggle to ideate. I feel like I don't always have the confidence in it.
So both of those often help you move back in different ways. So I think if you want to stay in the game field, you need to think about the whereabouts in the game field might go. So if you want to figure out the user interface aspect of game, then graphic design makes sense for you. But if you want to do more of the 3D modeling or the animation side of it, then concept art makes more sense. Or if you just want to get more of a visual awareness, then I'd say probably stay with graphic design because it's going to give you that really solid foundation. And then you can build on that in your own time, like Pinterest practicing, that sort of thing. Yeah, and in this case, this will be almost like a really nice finishing year for you to just kind of boost your skills and give you that extra confidence.
So that's sort of the idea of and I also want to ask you, do you think it would be like reasonably practical to do like 2 higher certificates on games?
Not really. So, I mean, in theory you could, but you'd be putting a lot of pressure on yourself. The reason you could is because, for example, graphic design is a main course, and then something like web is marketing. So you could, in theory, do those two, but you get better results if you spend a little bit of your free time on it. So it's nice to have that half a day available to either intern or work on your projects. And if you're trying to do 2 courses at once, it is intense.
Is there any particular software focus that you use? Because I know obviously concept work and working with Blender and Photoshop and the digital painting stuff. Is the graphic side of focus towards Illustrator or Vector?
It does overlap. So we do Photoshop. We do a lot of conceptual thinking. We do Photoshop. We touch on brushes. But it's mostly geared towards Photoshop. So it's the kind of thing that applies in the country. You could carry those skills through to other skills if you wanted to. You did in this so yeah, and then concept art is Photoshop definitely whole unit of brushwork. And then, but a lot of the students will teach Photoshop, but then they just like to use those same principles and create different talents. Yeah, so I would say that's what I was for the years. About 35 yourself doing like a recovery on conflicts, design, whether it's in games or anything else, and that'll kind of steer you through the both of wonderful. I don't know.
And then if I was to like, what do you guys think you should do like one high qualified you coach on the graphics and then
so we always recommend you're going to try stuff to practice first. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I can help. Okay, excellent. Just listening from the side. Okay.
I've been asked to think about maybe like graphic design is a good one to do first.
Yes. Yeah.
And then if I've got no experience with graphic design,
You don't need any experience. So I was taught to beginners first. What you're looking for is drive and spark. So if your part of your portfolio is you send me photos of your amazing cake decorating or like sideboard chalk drawings, yes, I can handle that because we're designed. We've got the ability to look and see what you're producing and where you can go with that. So as long as you have that passion and that drive, that's what's going to carry you through like the deadlines and the hard work. Because every job is going to have down days. Now I can't teach you to have drive or ambition as such. I can't teach you to become a go-getter, but I can teach you how to perform with things. So as long as you have that creativity and once, the rest will come. Yeah. Lars often we can tell us today, but often he tells a story where he got given a portfolio where the person was a terrible artist, and he looked at me and was like, phew. Even he was like, maybe he's a bit of a accountant. And then the person came back 6 months later with a brand new, and I gave him some advice and stuff, came back with a brand new portfolio, and he'd spent 6 months like really grafting. And he's like, I want this, here's my new portfolio. And it still wasn't great, but Lars was like, no, we're taking you because you've shown us that you would push and you can do this. So yeah, that's what's going to get you a job, career, everything.
web development.
Okay, cool.
But I don't know, like just messing around with stuff.
Yeah.
Something I'm interested in.
So the nice thing about the front-end website is that we do UX and UI analytics. We get to design things.